Do you find it harder than ever to keep your customer training material up to date? If so, you are not alone. That's exactly why Learnworlds has become such a standout in customer education. It gives you the flexibility to build training that feels like your brand, not like a boxed-in LMS template. And honestly, the analytics are some of the best I've ever seen. You get real insight into engagement, progress, and ROI without having to become a full-time data analyst. You can also chat with AI to immediately discover anything you want to know about your learners' progress, course trends, or revenue insights. Just ask it questions and let it pull that data for you. The integrations are smooth, especially if you're running HubSpot or automations across your stack. And the platform is actually enjoyable to use for both admins and learners, which I know sounds wild for an LMS. But here's the thing I appreciate the most. Customer education teams consistently tell us that Learnworlds helps them move faster without relinquishing control. It is learning that scales alongside your product and business. And if you need to even train employees or partners, you can do it within the same account. Just create a new school and you are good to go. The platform is very user-friendly, so you are not relying on devs for changes that you might need to make, which gives you so much autonomy and flexibility. So if you're ready to upgrade your academy experience or rethink how you deliver product education, check out learnworlds.com today and enter the code CELab15 for 15% off the first 6 months of your subscription. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CELab, the Customer Education Laboratory, where we explore how to build customer education programs, experiment with new approaches, and exterminate the myths and bad advice that you might get, which stop growth dead in its tracks. Things like, what do we do with AI and other things like that. And I want to welcome you into the new year. We are kicking off January 2026 by talking with Mia Čomić from Learnworlds. Welcome, Mia. It's good to have you on the show today.
Hi, Dave, and thank you for having me as your guest. Pleasure to be here.
This is great. You're coming to us all the way from Serbia. We love the international flair that we have today, which triggers me to think about the International Day of. So we always do this just as our warm-up. We don't have too much sound in the background here. We always do it to warm up, and today we made a couple of picks. I always like to look at the page here, and of the National Day ofs, what would be your pick for today, Mia?
I would say National Rubber Ducky Day because they're silly. And I think actually in Serbia, it's become very popular to collect them. You can buy them at you can buy them at gaming stores, like different types of rubber duckies, like Batman one or like Wookiee, from Star Wars, and yeah, very silly. But I also see like public radio broadcasting.
Yeah,
That's an interesting one.
that one's my one. I'll shout out to NPR and other public broadcasting around the world today, which we desperately need. Back to the rubber ducky thing. Does that have anything to do with the whole the Jeep? Jeep drivers trade exchange little rubber duckies. I don't know what the deal is.
I'm not familiar with that, but that sounds super weird.
I don't know. It is. It's really weird. All right, so let's move into this. I'll do a little bit of a frame up, which is today's episode, of course, the sponsored episodes. And Mia, we're talking to you, and we're talking about Learnworlds. And with all of this, and again, with all of our sponsored episodes, this is not meant to be a feature walkthrough. This is a thinking episode. We're talking about the macro, the world. Why did this product come into existence? Why are you and the platform and the owners making choices that you are, especially right now where we're moving into so much AI? And that matters, right? That matters a whole lot. If you're a responsible audience for customer education in the real world, we need to be able to trust, right? And to have our operational sanity around the products that we use to get our job done because we're moving fast. These platforms are in short supply. We don't talk to everybody. So again, thanks for being on our show and helping sponsor us. And also at the core of this, and this is really important, you have released the 2026 State of AI and Customer Education Report. We created a link to that, and we'll share more. The link I created is a bit.ly link if anybody still uses bit.ly, and the URL is just LWCELAB, LWCLab, Learnworlds CELab for short. Okay, Mia, so you're the product marketing manager at Learnworlds, and you're also someone that has built your own academy. I'm going to turn
Yep.
the mic over to you because what we'd really like to start with is your personal background, your why, the human first part of all this. Um, let's tell me more about what you've done and where you're at and how you got here. You've been
hmm
in our field, the B2B SaaS, for over a decade. Learning keeps showing up as a constant for you, and you've also been an online learner just like we are. So, tell me about your
Yeah.
story. Where did you begin? How did you get here?
Yeah. Thank you. So I was always very curious and I was a bookworm. My online learning journey kicked off when I discovered massive open online courses. You remember, like back in early 2000s when Coursera and Diversity and edX were just getting started. And
Absolutely.
and all I could think about was, oh my God, like I can access all of this knowledge for free. So I was literally rushing from my college classes to home and just binging through online courses. Yeah, I mean, learning has always been very important to me, important part of who I am. And I've been brought up to allow myself to always follow my curiosity, and it didn't really matter if the knowledge or the skills were considered necessarily practical,
Hmm.
applicable in real world. And yeah, as you said, I've spent the last 10 years or so in content and product marketing in B2B SaaS. And today I work as a product marketing manager at Learnworlds, which honestly feels like a perfect intersection of everything I care about. So there's storytelling and communication, there is product, technology, and most importantly, how people change behavior through learning. So that's what I love about my job.
Yeah, that's really cool, and particularly because I work with a lot of product marketing managers and customer ed, and whenever we start talking about marketing and product marketing, people light up. Why?
Yep.
Because there's such a harmony between multiple roles, honestly, but product marketing is a big one. How do we get excitement about a product that we're selling? Now we're selling through. Now it's not like you and me, and we're working to reach that audience, but we have to work together to do that, to bring that kind of
hmm
vibe. We can't have something that's just educationally sterile and boring, right? It's got
hmm
to map to the tone and the excitement of our brand and bring
Exactly.
everything through. So let's go back a
hmm
little further. I keyed in on something that was interesting. You said you studied comparative literature in your background. And,
Yep.
you know, I'm a chemist by education. How did I get here? Same reason, loving
I love it.
learning. Um, yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. And let's key in on customer ed. So you were saying your previous job, and I'll let you tell the story. You got more into the learning part of it as part of your role, and then now you're here at LearnWorld. So how did you bridge that?
Yeah, sure. Let me maybe start by explaining what comparative literature actually is, and just how it connects to what I do. So it's a highly interdisciplinary field, which means that, for instance, you might study a certain phenomenon from a book and then explore how it influenced other literary texts or pieces of art or even historical
Oh,
events, or how main ideas correlate with the spirit of the time. The politics, current ideologies. You know, too long didn't read how books and art shape what we value in certain times of our, you know, through civilization, actually.
right.
So, yeah, so the most important thing I believe comparative literature taught me is to think beyond any given frame of a text. So I was kind of conditioned to think, to become this type of thinker, to always take context into account. So this enables you to notice connections between things that other people might miss, and just to connect the dots in innovative ways. So all in all, it's very useful for a creative career and for marketing as well. And as for the Customer Academy, so before Learnworlds, I was at Localize. It's one of the leading localization platforms. And back in 2021, I helped them build a Customer Academy. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. But it is still live and it's built on Learnworlds. So talk about, making a
Whoa.
full circle by getting a job here. And the academy was built in collaboration with high profile localization experts, so both internal and external experts. And the content is really on point. Like, even though I didn't know what I was doing and I was learning as I go, it was really a good project, a great project that taught me a lot about the importance of defining a quality bar and just, making smart decisions that support the creation of engaging learning experiences.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it kind of pushed me towards this role of a product marketing manager. So now I sit between product and the real world, so the market and customers, and I try to translate the value of Learnworlds in a way that they will understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, part of my job is figuring out what to say, but it's also um, trying to, just make sure that the communication lines are open and that
Mhm.
we hear what the market needs and that they also understand the value that we can bring.
I,
So yeah.
I like, this is a really unique perspective and bridge in your career because there's several things happening in this which are really interesting. One, the localized product, you're talking about localization anyway, right? Which is something that we as a field, usually in customer education, have a hard time with until later
Yeah.
because we're just trying to get one language down, not to mention multiple with the nuance and everything that comes with that. And
Hmm.
then you're also, okay, you're bridging with, you've actually had the hands-on experience of forming that academy. Now come in with Learnworlds, so you're coming into the space. And the role of the PMM, I think, is always really curious and important because as me as a customer education professional, I'm worried about the external, right? What is that customer? And that's where I depend upon someone like you, where
Hmm.
we're doing a report or something, we're actually gathering data that helps us to, and this is where it's very difficult in customer ed, particularly if you start somewhere, you have to start somewhere. What do our customers want? It's remarkable how many times we might just be thrown into a situation where that brain work is not happening. A leader says,
Hmm.
build academy. Okay. I can do that without ever talking to anybody. Will it help
Yeah,
anybody? No, probably not. You'll get a
not
kitchen
likely.
sink. um,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. I think you've really brought this to bear. So let's get back and start talking about customer education. And you had to summarize that. What do customer education's teams, per your research and perspective, think they need at the start? And what do they realize they need once things get, let's just say it, real, right?
Hmm.
What's
Hmm.
really going on here?
Yeah. I think that they start by asking for a library and they end up needing a system. So they come to us saying, like, we need a learning portal, we need courses, we need to build a certification program, we need a place, where our customers can learn. And then they launch something and nothing magically happens. So
Yeah.
I like being a customer and being somebody who tries to serve customers, I don't think that they wake up magically and think, oh, today I'm going to browse training and increase my product adoption rate. They're busy. They're trying to get the most value out of the software that they're paying for. And they only learn when it's tied to a moment they genuinely care about. So the really challenging job, I think, is to build a system that delivers the right learning at the right time. And then you need to prove it works to the upper management. So I think the shift needs to happen. You need to shift your focus to outcomes and routing, such as role based paths for admins versus end users. Really think who is your end learner, so to say.
Mhm.
You need to think about onboarding sequences that assign the right next step or in-app prompts at key milestones that you again need to define. And AI cannot help you with this, not that much, because it needs to come from you. And once you do that, then measurement and governance become non-negotiable. So it's really not about, thinking about course completions, but did time to value drop? Did tickets deflect? Did adoption rise? And who in the end owns product updates, like change content updates that need to follow product updates? And I think that's when customer education stops revolving just around content and costs,
Hmm.
and becomes a growth lever, which is something that Panos, our CEO, really tries to communicate, but I don't think it quite lands as clearly. But to me, like, probably because I'm inside the company, it's such an obvious thing. Like, what do you think
Yeah.
about learning as a growth lever? It's so obvious.
I really like how you've summarized or articulated that because I think that's the current and present perspective of what customer education is about. And it's really
Yep.
hard, right? When you say,
Mm,
I mean, I've even been in really big companies that are struggling with, oh, well, we really don't have persona based. Why don't we have personas identified? Right. Oh,
mm,
well, we do, but we haven't built any training around that. Well, what do you mean? It's
mm,
the one of the most fun experiences that I was working in outreach at a time where we took that lens and said, what are the jobs to be done? Let's just start articulating these and making the paths out of those
mm,
so that it's very clear when, and I want to go back to something you said, which I think is really important, that holding that time, that moment in time, Mia, where,
mm.
you said, well, people aren't, they're busy. They're not gonna just go say, I'm gonna learn uh, all of this today. Sometimes they do, right?
Yeah.
And but that's when we've had all the proper nudges and cueing and, uh, your manager has a talk with you and you finally go, yes, I'm investing in this. And what we care about on the other side has conventionally been more about, okay, did you complete it or not? Well, that's
Yeah.
remedial. That's kindergarten learning, right? It's not where we're at is calculus. Um, Adam
Mm,
uses the term scale engine too when you talk about a lever. We're focusing on how do we maximize our reach, maximize the knowledge that we can imbue on somebody, get them to what they need, and get them doing their job and getting outcomes. So
exactly.
that if we the more we can pull that off onto a digital format, right? Imbuing it with humanity and meaning it's not just fake AI stuff, we're
Hmm.
gonna grow.
Yep.
Um, with all that in mind, that's really well articulated. Let's now get into I think folks really wanna know as and I'm gonna spin this with some of my own perspective that um, my awareness of Learnworlds has increased over the last few years. I had an top opportunity to interact with Panos, and I've watched your trajectory now. It's good to see in the U.S. market that Learnworlds is getting seen, used. A lot of places, a lot of platforms define themselves or describe themselves as the place to host courses. Going back to what you
Mm,
said before. Oh, well, we had a documentation, and now I just want to put some courses up. Okay, I need to find something to do that. Okay. But you don't stop there. Why wasn't
hmm.
it enough just to have a place to host courses? What are the things that really are important in your brand? Not just the elevator pitch, like at depth,
Hmm.
things that matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, LearnWolds has evolved significantly. Like when I joined the company, I was stunned to learn about like the first steps and just how much did it develop from just being a course platform into what it is today.
Mhm.
And looking at the current product roadmap, it's even more exciting because right now, LearnWorlds is more than just a platform to build an online school. So the direction we're heading into is creating an ecosystem where you can
Mhm.
create, deliver, automate, and monetize any type of learning product. So from full academies down to smaller targeted learning assets. And in my opinion, I think that hosting courses was enough when learning was fragmented or like episodic, so to say. So,
Right.
you launched the course, people went through it, you moved on. But what's changed, especially with the AI, is this rhythm of learning. So the friction of creating and updating content drops thanks to AI, and learning, in my opinion, stops being this one-time event. It just
Yeah.
it
Oh,
turns into a continuous product that's available across multiple touch points, and that makes the job significantly more challenging, you know?
Right.
So the challenge isn't where you will put your content, where it will live, but how learning should be designed and connected across many different touch points. How can you automate things? How can you make sure that your content, you know, evolves and stays relevant as your product evolves? And I'm really, you know, happy to see that Learnworlds is indeed building a system that allows you to do this. It's like an operating learning system that, you know, allows you to keep up with the way people actually learn today in the, you know, AI world.
Yeah. That looks very different now, where before we were I want to key in on this learning operating system or learning product operating system because that's unique. That yes, before I'd get an LMS just to put content and organize it, we're done, right? We
Mm-hmm.
built a course, great. But w- one of the things I saw just recently, more Atlassian, that I thought was very unique was now we are building different learning products at different times to serve unique markets or situations. And so a situation is, hey, we know bear with me for a moment because I think this fits your
Mm-hmm.
pattern. Um, Imagine we have an adoption issue with a particular cohort of our user base. And these users, in this case, were much bigger, they're broader. You're really talking about re engagement and kind of a transition into a change management thinking, although I like to look at that as business readiness now. How do we get everybody ready to understand what we've got? How do we get them into a light training to re engage them? What are we going to surface? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
in this case, we were building a kind of interstitial thing that would train an enablement type person or an L&D type
Mm-hmm.
person who's work operating internally. And it
Mm-hmm.
was whole course material, and now they have a palette or a canvas of things that they could do and then draw that in and then help their learners achieve what they need to do. So it was
Mm-hmm.
something that took us quite a long time because we had to think through all the mechanics of it. Whereas if we had a system that's more flexible, we could start building these different kinds of learning tool sets, if you will, that apply to other circumstances. That's
Yeah.
cool. So tell me more about this learning operating system as opposed to what the traditional would LMS would be like in your context, or what in your company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so what we're offering is more of, as I said, like a learning product operating system, which is a system that unifies creation, delivery, orchestration, and monetization. And I will explain all of this.
Okay,
So
that's a lot. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot. I know. So I think that when people say LMS, they usually mean like a content warehouse, you know, as I said, upload courses, enroll users, track completions. But the problem is your custom education will likely fail if learning isn't connected to the real workflow. So
Mhm.
to their onboarding moments or like the way they adopt features or support issues or like your goals when it comes to renewals or expansions. So you end up with having this beautiful library and low usage or weak impact or like constant fire drills every time the product changes.
Mhm.
So the difference between having a learning operating system means that you get the chance to easily orchestrate the full loop. So building content fast and then packaging it into role and use case paths. So then you need to distribute it through the right channels and triggers. You can easily integrate it with the customer lifecycle and measure outcomes that go beyond completions. And just as importantly, it includes this operating model. So on the admin side, you can easily control permissions, governance, content updates, or like design multi-audience experiences, and even monetization if like selling courses is one of your goals for whatever reason. So I think it's a matter of semantics in a way, but it's also a matter of signaling how much the role of an LMS has evolved. So operating system, I would say, manages the entire educational program. And that's what makes education actually move the needle in terms of like actual business outcomes or what we mentioned, like turning learning into a growth lever indeed. So that's like the
Right.
main differences. Hmm.
I and I think that's something that sometimes gets lost, sometimes intentionally so,
For example, if you have a larger organization now, you're taking the sales component or the financial component of, well, I need to sell course. Okay, we'll sell credits. That goes through a contractual type thing issued to the
Mm-hmm.
customer, eventually comes back around, and then now we're having to deal or grapple with the reality of what we sold and the mechanics of getting that product to the customer in the right time. But
Yep.
there's also so many things you talk about. What would you call as what a regular fire drill? Is that is, oh my God, we just found out that this part of the product updated, and now we've got to redo all the screenshots,
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like that.
you're being pushed into this like reactive role, instead of just like
Okay, good.
being proactive, or like having a supporting system that allows you to continuously update, like, just in the flow, and you can use AI to bridge this gap. And that's what's, fascinating to me, because most custom education professionals and people in general start by, treating AI as a, uh, yeah, content generating tool. And
Mhm.
it takes time until you know, come to the stage where you can see just how much of the operational things can be lifted if you use AI correctly. But yeah, I'm digressing a bit, but it's still like very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, that all of that I think is forming right now. We're more in that storming time where
Hmm.
and I'll use my soapbox here to kind of stand up for what I believe, but caveating that this isn't representative of everybody, that I think
Hmm.
we need to stop talking so much about the hype of AI that
Yeah.
there's really nothing new here. What's new is the interface. What's new
Hmm.
is the ability. So something that I've been doing lately, because I've had some free time over the holidays, I kept seeing ads for Google's, AI prompting course, which I'll
Mm.
probably throw a link in here, and I dived in. I actually got a year subscription to Coursera of all things, so I've been working with them at Atlassian too, and, oh my god, the ways now I'm now seeing how to query, how to really prompt in a better way.
Hmm.
They come up with this me I'm gonna stop there, but
Yeah.
what I was most intrigued about is that there's actually these little bots that are with the agents within the coursework that are now actually gauging the quality of the responses that I would give. Whereas, if you took a test before at university or whatever, I remember, I'm dating myself. We had blue books. You had to write things. You would do an essay. You
Hmm.
would write all this stuff up. Somebody's got to read that. Now, what
Hmm.
AI can do is actually take that user response and break it down by a rubric that it already knows, and it's really good at doing language processing. And it can come back and say, "Oh yeah, this is really good, excellent work," and right here, that's so good. No human involved. Now I don't feel that. Like I can, if I'm using that now and shifting it to developing content, I can spot every place in a piece of content that needs to be changed. I can go out and
Hmm.
I can have some screen shares that as some systems are now, I won't mention other products names. There are systems that will run and update stuff. So if you give it a script, it'll go boom. So this is exciting to
Hmm.
see exactly where you're going and leaning in. Get away from the hype. Let's get into the
Yep.
real.
Yeah, it's
Um,
fascinating, really.
so okay, let's break it down and lean more into the AI stuff. I just talked a little bit about it. Um, Tell me a little bit more about. Goodness, hold on, Sarah. Got some really weird sounds. I don't know what that was all about. Tell me more about, not just dropping ChatGPT into a UI, and I'm just gonna leave it there and let you rip a
Hmm.
little bit. AI, but grounded, not
Yeah.
gimmicky. What's
Yeah.
going on with your platform and your philosophy and approach here?
No, I could talk for days about this, because I'm really like, I know that I'm biased because I work for Learnworlds, but I've tested other platforms, and I really dislike when product teams implement AI just for the sake of it. And we're really trying not to do that. So when it comes to this, like dropping ChatGPT next to the UI,
Mhm,
that's the fastest way you can implement AI. You can integrate it inside your product, but it's also the fastest way to end up with a generic Q&A widget when you think about it. So it can be helpful, but it's not reliably educational. So at Learnworlds, we have co-founders George and Panos, who both have PhDs in educational technology, and George is our chief product officer. So every product decision is guided by his knowledge, like years of experience, and then a deep focus on what customers actually want and need, and then a second thing, like where the market is heading. So we believe that real learning needs structure. It needs clear objectives. It needs scaffolding and practice and feedback and assessment. So the AI, by necessity, has to be instructionally intelligent. Like, from my perspective, this should be the baseline, the norm in the industry, but it's really not. Like, what does this? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I really want to interrupt you here, not more to accentuate. So when you say instructionally intelligent, are you
Mhm.
saying that we're building in or imbuing AI into our platform to help us say, okay, and I'm using you to validate a point that I'm thinking about. We
Mhm.
have more and more people entering into our field. When we call it our field, you could be working in customer ed, you could be working in digital scaled success, product marketing. I don't care what. You could even be in product itself or documentation or something, support.
Mhm.
There's so many more people that don't have the experience. So are you saying that instructional intelligence is kind of bringing that in, bringing that skill
Uh,
set in?
Yes, yes. But I think it's important to emphasize that it's all about co-creation with the AI. So, for
Okay.
instance, if you want to create a course outline with the help of AI, and if your course is hands-on, you can use Kolb's experiential learning theory,
Mhm.
which is perfect for building activities that lets learners learn by doing. Or if you need a more systematic approach, the ADDIE model helps you develop your course step by step from planning to evaluating. So the point is never ever to remove the human from the workflow, but to make it easier to package your knowledge in a way that it's truly engaging and more likely to lead to positive learning outcomes, or like to increase knowledge retention. So we think that the course needs to be um, AI needs to be grounded in the actual course and learner
Mhm.
understanding. And sometimes it's even better if you cut it off, or if you you close it so that it doesn't have access to publicly available knowledge, so that it doesn't hallucinate, but you feed
Mhm.
it with your expertise. You feed it with your expertise with guardrails that make it trustworthy, so that you can be sure that your learner is getting accurate answers, because there is nothing worse than
Yeah.
using AI and like just it can be a disaster if you don't use it the right way. Or for example, if we're talking about the AI feedback assistant, we're really not trying to maximize engagement with a bot. That's like absurd. But most of the cool kids are doing it. Let's just have a chat window, because it's become so integral to the interface of a learning portal. But we really want to make it meaningful. So we want to continue building AI that measurably improves learning outcomes and makes the experience much, much better. So that's the gist of it. So it's built in so that it helps you shape your expertise in a more compelling
Mhm.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, I see the threads of where you're going. I think right now it's somewhat hard for all of us to grok this transition, but it's
Hmm.
things like, okay, well, if you have a chat bot in the application you're surfacing to a learner, what is that thing doing, right? Is it just a chat bot,
Hmm.
or have you stubbed out your network in a way that it makes sure that there's a rubric, guiding, guardrails, things that
Yep.
are helping us both from the learner side, but also the practitioner side as they're trying to build good instructionally sound content, but they don't know how.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, th- I've got other questions, so I'm gonna let you keep going here for a bit because there's things that I'm curious about that you might be moving towards. Let's
Hmm.
um let's move on to then talk about this phrase you've used, structured professional balance. Say that again,
Hmm.
structured professional balance. Can you break that down for practitioners that are listening here that, you're getting into what stays human even as AI accelerates that work? This is something that you're bringing out that's really important.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to like try to clearly communicate where Learnworlds stands when it comes to AI and how should it be implemented inside a learning experience. And there's a lot to be said. So as I mentioned, there is the structural intelligent AI, and our roadmap is super explicit in that we don't want to have AI just for the sake of it. I think I already mentioned this. So the intent is to build a curated AI layer that reflects what a real instructor or learning designer needs, pedagogically framed. So we do think that speed matters, but only and only when it's paired with a professional control. So this is what George and the product team calls a structured professional balance. So AI can, for instance, generate the bulk of your work, but you as a learning designer or as a creator needs to be very careful. You're the one responsible for keeping this fine-grained control over everything. So the actual content, the final shape, tone, nuance, everything. So I think sometimes people perceive AI as, oh, we're going to be replaced, or like, oh, what's the point of my job and everything I do if it's going to be reduced to like create a course in minutes or seconds. So that's not something that we would endorse or like stand for.
Right. And I see pragmatically, I think many of us have been experimenting with.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can connect exactly to what you're talking about with the platform. The LearnWorlds platform, with the appropriate kind of AI tooling, is helping us shape and mold and build standard, consistent, well-formed, non-hallucinating content. Right?
Hmm.
How would I do
Yeah.
this when I first started out really using AI, what I did is I gravitated towards, Notebook LM, but you could do this with anything. You're feeding in and you're actually building your own unique references, your reference set, right? This is for your model. You're going into, like, what is the task? I want to build a course. What is the content that I'm using? Here's the kind of material that I want. I want this tone in this language for this kind of reading level or comprehension level. But I want it to be a little, snarky and fun. I don't want it to be stale and boring, right? These are all
Hmm.
this is the conversation now you're having with AI as it were you're making it be an instructional designer in a way, right? You're imbuing
Hmm.
it. What I'm finding with platform-based tooling is that we're kind of building that in, right? To say, okay, talk about Panos and George having, doctorates in learning. Well, that's really important because if we can form and bake a core of that in at the heart of a product, now we don't have to think about it as much. Now I can say, here's all my content, build me a storyboard. Now I want to shape it like this. Now I as an educator am now a sculptor, right? My role takes that real human, and let's go back to comparative literature and stuff.
Hmm.
We're seeing the influence of the knowledge set that we have written in a certain way that's expanding its tendrils out to other areas, helping people learn and connect and be able to repeat, right? To do what
Hmm.
they need to do. Again, getting the outcomes. So you're accelerating the velocity of that by abstracting away a lot of the stuff that I would have had to come into it with a 4-year degree. Now you're giving
Yeah.
me now
You
now
summarize it nicely. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I mean, that is an over exaggeration, but I think it's the really important thing that we need, particularly for B2B SaaS, not for education. So if you're thinking about academics, good God,
Hmm.
please, no, we have a lot bigger data sets, a whole lot more stuff, and there's structure into education. Education is
Hmm.
about getting outcomes. Learn training is very different. Um,
Hmm.
okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
pivot back to that, the distinction.
Mhm.
Um, not again, why does it matter so much? The distinction you keep making is that AI should not just sit on top of learning. You're already getting there, but
Mhm.
tell me more about that. What's even, let's talk about embedded technology getting
Mhm.
inside the learning.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we're talking about how AI should be embedded inside learning, we're actually talking about AI that's directly inside the flow. So
Right.
inside the content and the learner's, let's say, cognitive moments. So this can include like reflection prompts, checks for understanding, or targeted clarifications. And I think personally that we spent a lot of time asking how AI can make content creation faster and easier for us, and not enough time asking how it can make learning better for the learner. So speed is useful, but it's not the end game. It's not the goal. What really matters is whether AI helps learners reflect, practice, and get unstuck, or understand something at the moment they need it. So this is something that the report has also shown, like just-in-time learning.
Okay. Can you give me an example of how the platform, as is being designed and developed,
Mm-hmm.
how would I demonstrate that? It's
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just baiting you a little bit because I've seen some of this in practicality, but how would
Mm-hmm.
my agentic platform say, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
help you get unstuck by, and now it's like, are you asking, you're prompting it with stuff? Are you asking questions live? What is it
Mm-hmm.
that the platform will help us do?
Yeah, so to explain this, I need to explain maybe in more depth what AI as an orchestration layer actually means. So
Sure.
most people first encounter AI as a tool. So it's something that helps you write faster, summarize content, or generate ideas. And this is useful, but it's still very like local, very condensed to a single
Transactional?
use case. Yeah, transactional as well. Yeah. But an orchestration layer is different. So it helps you coordinate how can many moving parts work together as a system. So in custom education, these moving parts already exist. It's content, it's learners, it's product changes, support signals, different bits of communication. So AI as an orchestration layer sits between these elements and helps you decide when, for whom, and in what form learning should happen. So, uh, for instance, it can connect signals across systems. For instance, it can look at learning progress, feature usage, support tickets, or onboarding behavior, and then surface patterns that humans would struggle with. And you can, quickly see what is the best piece of content that you should deliver to them. But AI like takes it a step further because this content can get automatically delivered. So AI for you actually decides what learning should activate next. So it's trigger based. You
Personal.
can also. Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Personalized.
Yeah, personalized, yeah. And instead
Hmm.
of having like fixed one size fits only courses, learning kind of becomes responsive. So it will be possible very soon with Learnworlds to have learning paths that adapt dynamically based on where the person is. So if you look at, for instance, the experience of generic AI tools such as Lovable, um, where you start creating this entire experience, like, I don't know, building an app or whatever, with a single prompt, you will have an option to do this
Right.
within Learnworlds as well. But the point is that we're expanding AI beyond just like creation and into automation. So you can use prompts to build workflows. You can use smart templates. You can use
Hmm.
agency level workflows that reflect pedagogy. But yeah, the I don't know, like the future is very exciting in terms of uh, the possibilities, like what you will be able to do within Learnworlds. But we're trying to use AI as well for our own customers, so that the value of the platform becomes more obvious to you, so that the actual interface of the platform feels familiar and intuitive because you've used so many different AI tools um,
Yeah.
outside of learning. So that's something that we're
Oh,
heading into. Yeah.
I'm really I'm really liking where we're able to go deeper in this discussion because this is super important. Let me
Mhm.
give you an example of a really live use case that I've encountered just recently, where again we're in this motif of we've got a legacy platform, we're transitioning to a new platform. Let's let's pretend that I'm a role of an administrator, right? And I know a lot already, but everything's
Mhm.
changing because this is the flip side of product change. Not only am I going from an on-prem or more legacy platform that I know intimately, and I'm that admin now. I know this so well. Oh, now it's in the cloud. Well, okay. So
Mhm.
now let's play that role of this interstitial, these people talking back and forth about me as an admin. I am asked by a company, an enterprise company, to build something custom for this person or these people that I have.
Mhm.
Whereas now with I think with AI and the kind of things that you're talking about, I can make this dynamic learning type path where,
Exactly.
okay, maybe there's a little prompting or maybe there's a little agentic stuff happening when I log in. Login goes, "Oh, last time Dave logged in, it was 10 years ago." Oh god, not that's not realistic, but I'm being
That's
grandiose.
not good.
But in practicality, a lot of people haven't touched any kind of training for many, many years. And
Mhm.
and now they go, "I know this, I know this." Really? Just give me the delta. And
Mhm.
the thing that we're starting to see is that we almost need to, and I'm using this phrase for lack of anything better, stub out, like, hooks that an AI can use and go, "Dave knows this, 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 not this, and he wants to
Mhm.
go deeper, lay out a new learning path." Don't have that person prompt because they don't know what the heck learning path is. They don't even know what they want. They know what they need, and
Mhm.
they know what they need right now because they're
Yep.
stuck trying to do something. So that's where you're going and, like, why things are really
Exactly.
forming here.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why. So everything that's happening inside the product, of course, our own customer education team tends to test. So when it comes to using AI, we use AI that's available natively within Learnworlds, but I also use other AI tools like I don't know, 11 Labs or whatever. So the point is that we also like managed to rebuild Learnworld's customer academy by using AI, and we did it like 10 times faster. I mean, I didn't do it. Like, I didn't participate. I say we, like Learnworld's team, our customer education team. So there is just huge potential here. And if we want to be real about like what's happening in the market, you can say that AI threatens LMS platforms in a way, but this is exactly why platform depth matters. So there are general purpose AI learning tools that are emerging with the promise of generating learner journeys directly, like in the moment. And this suggests that LMSs and other learning platforms are becoming optional. But we think that the defense isn't adding more AI buttons or gimmicks, but really using this AI layer that I tried to explain, um, because it will be very beneficial for our customers and it will help them reveal other features of the platform and use it to their advantage. So, in terms of our product strengths, we are very strong when it comes to this depth and this type of deep learning design language. So, lots of activity types, real instructional structure, and the ecosystem we built around it. And I think it's partially or like greatly thanks to the fact that we have real life experience and academic experience and just like this mindset of experimenting when it comes to uh, building learning, yeah, in
Yeah,
the product.
this is great, and I wanted and this is something you don't have to answer right now if you don't know, because
Hmm.
I'm throwing you a whammy.
Hmm.
Let me give you a little context about it. So when you say AI threatens platforms, specifically learning platforms, I agree with you. One of
Hmm.
I don't have access to the data to substantiate this right now, but one of the things I've seen evidence of is that, okay, let's set up. Here is my LMS, right? I've curated this. It's beautiful. I've got all this stuff in it. There's learning paths, there's everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
Here's my customer.
Hmm.
And my customer's desktop is ChatGPT. They open it up
Hmm.
and say, I want to learn about Acme product and I want to know XYZ. Can you train me to do that? Boom. It goes out and it scrubs whatever it can find and it comes back with its own. And people do this. I've done this.
Mm-hmm.
And the evidence that this is happening more increasing at an increasing pace is being shown in a deflation in engagement of learning LMS platform content.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I was able to see some of this in aggregate. Like, oh, we didn't even think about this. That
Mm-hmm.
people are now using AI like chatbot or like Google. I'm going to Google this,
Mm-hmm.
not that. Now they're actually constructing a prompt and having it guide them. That is what I think is threatening, and that's where I think what you're saying, and I'm trying to validate my understanding,
Mm-hmm.
that if we give enough of that kind of tooling and capability within our learning platform itself, we know we have to have this because at some point a learner is gonna have to go through and like I'm a collector, I wanna get all my certifications, I wanna get all my badges, I wanna prove to people I know these things. I wanna prove to my
Mm-hmm.
employer, right? But
Yep.
if we let an AI if we hand that off to an AI extrinsic to our company, we're going to have challenges.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so are you validating that, kind of on the other side, like, let's do this defense. Let's make it more powerful and bring those tools nascently into the platform.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of adapting to this huge change. This is why the role of LMSs has evolved so much. So it's not just a place where I log in and then I go through a course or like a mini micro learning, whatever, so that I find an answer that I need. So that type of learning workflow is, I believe, very outdated. Um, but the point is, LMS becomes an underlying system or like an infrastructure that's very much needed so that the right type of course or like a course module gets pulled into the product in the moment of need. So I think it's a matter of adapting to the new world. But I also don't like I don't know, maybe on LinkedIn you saw um like binary views on the situation, like
Mhm.
courses are dead or like LMSs
Yeah,
are dead. I
yeah,
never, I don't think that will ever be true, that an entire like type of technology will just be suppressed and, to become irrelevant. Especially because you need to take into account that my intention as a learner is not the same every time I turn to some type of learning, self-serving content. So for instance, if I want to master a product like that I use daily, then I would, sign up for a crash course, so that, because I don't know what I don't know, so I want to like try to cover as many things as I can access. But then on the other side, if I need an answer, if I'm in a situation where I'm troubleshooting, then I would probably turn to like a chat window within the product, or I would open ChatGPT.
right,
And I
right.
think the learning operating system that Learnworlds is, reshaping into will satisfy both needs, because it will just be
That's great.
flexible enough to do so. So this is why I said like the platform depth really matters in that sense.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That's really good, Mia, and thanks for clarifying that. And, in a way, I actually feel strongly that the LMS is needed. People are being contentious when they're saying it's dead.
Mm.
But now we're trying to abstract all of the tooling that the LMS provides to us as that. Yeah, I like that it is an operating system for learning. We still
Mm.
need all that tooling. We still need, or else you're gonna have to build it on your own, which we don't wanna
Hmm.
do. Well,
Yeah.
let's go further, and now let's talk about how customer education is actually kind of a stress test here, where
Hmm.
you're going like, "Oh my god, I can do all these cool things with AI," but now
Yeah.
it's okay, so the conversation is, Mia, can I actually use this to run my program? Why
Exactly.
why is this such a stress test for AI driven learning? Tell me more about your thinking there.
Yeah, yeah. I think it is a stress test because in real customer education teams, the pressure is first to map out learning gaps and create relevant content, and then to go live fast and make the whole thing operational. So in our customer pool, a lot of teams are trying to launch within 30 days. And the delivery is almost always like a mix of live and async. So usually with Zoom or like Teams or WebEx in the mix. And the learner is also in the middle of getting value from a product. So their tolerance for AI being kind of right is really low. So if AI serves them one confident but wrong answer, this is likely to, turn into a support ticket or even like an escalation, and you really are at risk of losing your customers' trust. So that's why I'm also skeptical of standalone AI tools that only generate outputs. Like, here's a lesson, here's a quiz. And the real stress test is actually in the combination of orchestration and accountability. So the question is, can AI route the right person into the right path by role and use case? Can it really trigger learning at the right moment in the life cycle? Can it keep content current as the product changes? So that's the question. And if you're not confident with saying yes, then like you're in it. It's like
Yeah.
a very, I think, how well you actually develop this AI layer. If you're an LMS vendor, this is what will be the key differentiating point. And just by like observing competition, I'm really confident that Learnworlds has a very strong roadmap. I think that you will start
Yeah.
seeing across the market like the same kind of changes, because that's the direction in which market is developing. So you will
Mhm.
probably see changes in terms of interface. I saw like a couple of competitors already experimenting with the chat like prompt
Mhm.
first interface, but the quality will be the differentiating point. So how well do you do it? And is it just like nicely designed interface, or is it actually functioning well in the background? Yeah.
Right. I really like how you're driving a lot of the more important customer success goals here. Really.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about, okay, you just throw AI into a platform, and here I am as a user trying to learn. I get confused. That isn't right. I'm stuck. Now
Mm.
I'm going back, poring over your documentation, or worse, call my support rep,
Yeah.
and then they
Yep.
they work it out. So you're basically getting to the point where it's not just triggers and hard automation. Now it's squishy automation that we have with an AI at my and like, oh wait, it prompts me like, what are you really looking for? I'm trying to do blah blah blah. Oh, you need this, right? So it's
Mm.
very kind of human in that context.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it
and
is. Yeah.
then the content, building that content is also a problem because if I just throw stuff at the wall and I have it develop a script and I say that's good enough, well, did it hallucinate? Did it, so you've got a multi-dimensional problem set or problem space when it comes to how do we superimpose AI and integrate it into the core of our product and help people get value, both as a learner and a developer of
Mm-hmm.
content. It's
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
I You did is crazy. I had an interesting conversation while I was interviewing people for the State of AI in Customer Education report,
Mhm,
and one person told me that they were so angry with their LMS vendor because they were just so they moved into like a higher tier plan, and they realized that they've been overpaying for just a basic ChatGPT implementation within the product. So it's like AI first, AI powered, whatever. And they were like, genuinely, I will not mention the name of the competitor or anything like that, don't worry, but uh it's really revealing. It was really like an aha moment for me, because everything is now AI powered, AI first. But as I
right.
said, the quality of how you actually integrate AI, and do you think about your end user, that's what matters. So
Well,
yeah.
it's really all 100% about the end user because if
Hmm.
the reality in B2B SaaS, even more so than B2C and other things, is that you've got a very limited window of trust, right? And if I can't find, I'm actually going to try an experiment. This is a little off script, but I'd like to do an experiment where I'm actually working through live streaming on Twitch or TikTok or whatever, me
Mm-hmm.
learning things like at depth, Notion, Obsidian, maybe Gainsight. But like you give me a product and I'm going to just
Mm-hmm.
tear it apart with the perspective of being an educator, with the
Mm-hmm.
perspective of being a very of a SaaS product user. So a lot of these products aren't known by normal people. When you go and
Yeah,
say,
I
okay, I
love
wanna
that.
learn, you know,
Yeah.
like I want to
Uh-huh.
take something and say, I want to go learn to stand up my business and use X product to do Y. Let's
Mm-hmm.
chronicle that experience, and you're seeing what all is happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that if I start having those frustration moments and I start getting a lot of cognitive load, or I start getting to the point where I'm getting blocked, this is
Mm-hmm.
where we need to start. Or I say, I just need to know this one thing, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is something you stuck with me too. Getting back on script is, AI tools are good at generating pieces, but we need a
Mm-hmm.
systemic approach to say, I need this piece, this piece, this piece, kind of like it might be a test out thing, or it might be a custom design learning path in the moment
Mm-hmm.
where, and this is really even more complicated because I may be able to atomize pieces and have a development cycle that updates them on the fly quicker and then
Exactly.
modularly put them together like a Wikipedia kind of thing. And now I'm getting the best, the most fresh, but then I have to assemble all those in some context.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tell me more about the pieces and the parts. I mean, I think a Reese's Pieces commercial,
Mm-hmm.
here, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of tools that help you generate content and make these pieces. But as you said, custom education teams, they need the system around the pieces. So
Mhm.
admin stuff like access control, ways to create learning paths or to reliably track progress or to connect learning outcomes with customer health. So and things like
Ooh,
analytics and
integration.
reports, yeah, integrations, yeah, all the stuff that make an academy scalable. And honestly, I think what breaks first when you only optimize for content creation is trust and coherence, because you get like a pile of content, but you don't create a clear learning path for your customers. So there is no way to keep it consistent. There is no way to measure whether it's working. And then
Right.
your content maintenance catches up because it becomes really easy to create outdated content faster than you can govern it. So that's it's like a catch 22, you know? Um, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like how you put that in. I used to teach video game design at a university level for a while. And
Oh,
as
that's
also being
amazing.
a scientist, there's this thing called a combinatorial explosion. We
Okay.
usually talked about that, and the dream of every student I ever had was, I want to make this thing that's responsive to everything you do, and every decision you make is different. And you go, okay, yeah, I want to do that too. We have some ways to make that happen or fake it. But the problem is, it's like if I make one decision, I could go these three ways. If I make these other three ways each on each one of these, and now I have to
Hmm.
build learning paths that map like gaming video games. And we talked about this with Adam on the last episode. Video games are very helpful in helping us to think and reflect upon the customer experience.
Hmm.
So it's crazy now that we really need to get to the point of personalization, to making stuff personal to help motivate us and keep us moving along to get the outcomes we want. Because I want to come in
Wow.
again
Yep.
and not just go, okay, oh, it's 2 hours to go through this whole thing, and I'm probably gonna learn what I need in there. But you know what? I
Mm.
need to do X, Y, and Z to get to the outcome. And can I
Hmm.
just get that? I'd love to be able to query the app and say, "Here's where I'm at. I know this, this, and this," and the AI goes, "Oh, yeah." And it can go to my other system, my whatever data warehouse and pull it and, "Oh, I see Dave's been using the app a lot, but he's hit against the wall here." And now we're
Hmm.
integrating all of these different pieces to understand not just the learner, but the learner's ecosystem environment, what culture they're in,
Hmm.
what company they're in, how big it is, what's their overall. Hmm, I'm going too far.
Yeah.
Um, so
No, I love it. I love it. Very
let's
good.
wrap the segment up about with when let's talk about evaluation. Now, if a CE team is evaluating a platform, what do they care about most before AI even enters into that conversation?
Yeah. Yeah. So what we consistently see in the custom education use case is that teams care most about a handful of very practical things. So integrations, like single sign-ons, API, Zoom, CRM. Then they care about analytics and reporting, brand control and white label. And then as they scale, things like bulk enrollment or provisioning or localization, as you mentioned, or certification, they become even more central. So if I could share like 3 things that I've learned as
Yeah.
I've enjoyed like chatting with different customer education experts and our own customers, you really cannot afford to be sloppy when developing a program because your academy is a part of your customer experience. So your academy carries your voice, your product nuance, your credibility. So this is why our approach is let AI speed things up, but keep the human in control of the final outcome. It cannot be like replaced.
No, we need to have more control over our learning journey, and that's really
Mm,
hard to pull off. All right, well,
hmm
we're getting far down the road here. I wanna get to the report, but let's talk one more
Yep.
point. We'll make it easy for people to index this and get to what they want, but there's a lot of good stuff. I really appreciate this conversation. It's exciting.
Yeah,
Let's talk
likewise.
about orchestration and completion. Orchestration is greater than completion. One of my longest standing frustrations and is that success for a learning program gets reduced ultimately to just what's your completion rate? Why?
hmm
Because, well, that is baseline learning 101, teaching 101. Did you take the class and did you pass it? We're not anywhere near that anymore. I've been more of the mindset now is that I'm going to get in and get out. I'm going to consume what I need and I'm going to go do the thing. I
Yeah.
don't so much. That's why we're talking about pieces. That's why we're talking about AI. I want to be able to query the Learnworlds learning model and be able to say, hey, you know what? I know this and this and this. I want to do that. I said that before. So it
hmm
seems like the platform is, you've got this concept of orchestration, nudges, reinforcements,
hmm
routing learners that are struggling to another place. Why is that shift so inherently important?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the part that it's really exciting for customer education is exactly that, like the combination of automation and orchestration. Because as you said, like you cannot really attribute success to people watched videos or like they completed a course. Maybe they played a video and then like went to do other things. It's not really a reliable metric that you should hang on to. So you can set things up that if someone struggles, they get nudged. If they finish a module but they don't really get it, you can route them into reinforcement. So this is something that will be possible at a rather sophisticated level in a very near future. So that's what I'm really excited about.
That's cool. That's
hmm
cool. Okay, one last point on that is that let's harp on the learning needs to start behaving more like a product experience and a content library. We've been talking about that before. Is that
hmm
is that what we're really getting to here? It's an experience. It's like I'm using a product. I'm not just going, oh, I'm going to do this course and I'm going to do that course and I'm going to collect this
yeah.
one. So you think that's more where we're headed, and that's where the platform is really focusing.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Like it's a very fair way to look at it. So learning is definitely becoming continuous, and when you embed it in the customer journey, it starts to behave much more like a product than a library. So if you zoom out, customer education really cannot be reduced to a single format or a destination. It shows up in onboarding, enablement, product updates, certifications, and each with different expectations, timing, and measures of success. So, as I said, what that really calls for is a system that can support many kinds of learning products. So, not just courses included, but not just
Yeah,
courses.
sure.
Um, so, yeah, something that really lets you design experiences that evolve and adapt and can really support the modern ways of learning.
I dig it. Yeah, this is good. This is really good. Thank you for that.
hmm
Okay.
Yep.
So we are running really long today, which is great to me because this is some
Yeah.
juicy content and I appreciate the
Yeah,
dialogue
we can.
we're having.
Yeah, we can maybe just skim through the report
Let's do
findings
that.
or
Well,
like.
let's
Yep.
frame it up like this, Mia.
hmm
Reports are a thing, and I know that Adam and I will take time to further dive into that report and make some more reflections. We usually like to do a report episode once or twice a year where we go deep. So what I'd like you to do is kind of frame it up. let people go read the report. We're linking it out. Can
Mm-hmm.
you start by condensing a real summary of, okay, what is this? What's the validity of the report? Like, who do we talk to? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then maybe a few highlights, and then we'll jump out. We'll close out for the day. But I want to make sure that our audience gets this, goes and reads this, learns about stuff, and then they'll have the opportunity to further go and learn about Learnworlds and what you're doing to change the landscape. Does that sound good?
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So what we try to do, we built a report on two inputs, two types of inputs on purpose. So we had a survey for scale and benchmarks, and then we held expert interviews for the nuance behind the numbers. So we had a quantitative data set of a total of 274 survey respondents, and we paired that with a total of 12 in-depth interviews with customer education leaders, Dave included. So thank you, Dave.
I remember
And
that, and that's good.
yeah,
12, you've got a good, and you call it in data science, an N of 274 is substantial,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was really great because the report is essentially like a snapshot of the current state of AI in the field plus stories. So the survey told us what's broadly happening, like the numbers and stuff, and then the interviews explained how teams are actually making decisions and getting work done. So we had a good mix of respondents, highly cross-functional teams, and this showed us that customer education is no longer owned by just one team. It's spread across multiple different departments. So we had roughly a third of respondents who were CEOs and founders, and this gave us a strategic business-wide perspective. We had about 20% of customer education professionals, so people who are actually building academies and content and programs day to day. And then another 16% were L&D leaders, which is again a nice signal that internal and external training are starting to converge in how teams think
Mhm.
about learning, and then a healthy spread across customer success, enablement, product, and marketing. Again, reinforcing the idea that customer education is becoming a company-wide conversation.
Yeah.
So maybe I can jump into like highlights now,
Yeah, let's
or do
jump
you
into
want
some
me to?
highlights. Definitely, and I'll ask you a few questions about this because this
Mm-hmm.
is the most important thing that we're monitoring. And let me back up just a little bit and say again something off
Mm-hmm.
script.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the thing that one of the big discussion points that I know Adam and I had, we had some of our close network folks, and we're talking about like naming and all this stuff. We're trying to move beyond that. We're trying to get like, what is this thing we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fluidity to what we do, and I don't want to think as much about a name other than this is learning. No matter how you slice it, we're
Mm-hmm.
referencing using a platform to help us, our partners, and our customers all learn. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why it's really important that we connect, and we all work together. So that's my only
Yeah.
soapbox thing as you lean into this and tell some of your findings and where people are struggling or succeeding or doing whatever. So yeah, give me a quick update on this, and then we'll go
Mm-hmm.
all read together and do a little book club.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can maybe share about where does adoption start. So I thought personally that it will be a leadership mandate. You know, everybody's using AI now. You have to use AI, like figuring out. But it's not
Yeah,
actually like
yeah.
that. It's like very grassroots because, and it makes sense actually because people are out of curiosity and out of this wish to become more productive, they're experimenting with ChatGPT. Like that's the most used tool. Like over 80% of respondents said like, yes, ChatGPT, we use it. I think it's because it's like such a low entry point, and they were the pioneers. So that's the main reason. The other thing is when it comes to the way AI is being used. So we saw different, we organized three different tiers, so to say. So one is using AI to automate busy work. The other is to use AI for creating learning experiences. So for instance, for the first tier, it would be to, summarize this for me or generate content for me or like find a good angle for this. And then in the actual experience building, you are using AI as a co-creator to, let's say, flesh out a course. So you don't have to start with a blank page, but you're starting with a pretty decent, like 60 to 70% done draft that
That's
you can
right.
then use to inject your expertise with. And then the final third tier is for using AI for strategic enablement. So this is in more advanced or like more mature organizations that have already went through the first two tiers. It's, for instance, embedding AI assistants or AI coaches, or like using AI avatars, building an AI avatar based on your instructional style or your expertise.
Right.
So very interesting things. But what I would like people to understand is that the adoption is very uneven. So I think it's encouraging to know that you're not late to the party. It's you know the the best way to phrase it maybe is like, um, you could have benefited if you started using AI earlier, but the second best time to start is now. So yeah, I don't want to take. I know that we're at time, but there are some really interesting things regarding budgets, regarding just how little money do you need to actually benefit hugely from AI? Because medium
Let's talk
budgets,
about
for
that.
instance,
Let's talk about
yeah.
that. I definitely
Mhm.
I'd like to hear more about budget. I said
Mhm.
you mentioned
Mhm.
that
Yep.
what 46.7% of the respondents said that it's a primary blocker. I think that's still innate to many customer education teams because
Mhm.
it's a philosophical problem that we're having to deal
Yep.
with. Where does the money go?
Mhm.
How do we scale fast? What do we do? Whereas when we invest heavily in scalable learning programming that's
Mhm.
flexible and it works well first, we see so much more adoption, and this is demonstrable. But I don't
Mhm.
understand where
Mhm.
that block is. And like, why is it that we have that block from
Yeah.
leaders who say, "Well, I'm not gonna give you this."
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk
I
about that.
think. I think like the question of ROI in customer education is very a delicate one, and I
Agreed.
loved what Roberto. So he's a customer
Yeah.
education professional. Yeah, you know him working
Hi,
at
Roberto.
Personio. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so what he said was like, if you're doubting the value of a customer academy, just like try shutting it down for 3 months and let's see. It was more of like a thought experiment. But I think like uh, customer education professionals are often very, you know, underrated maybe. So budget is a sensitive question. When
Right.
you think about, I think it's like a inherited belief that budget is a constraint, because you're always like dealing with handouts and like scrappy money. But when it comes to the what reports showed, around 27% of organizations currently spend zero on AI, and looking at the median budget is just like 1,000 per year. So most teams are not operating with like big transformation money. So I think that there is this belief that you do need money in order to do great things with AI,
Mhm.
but the tools are actually very accessible. If you start like smaller steps, then you can you can increase the budget gradually, because that's what the leadership wants. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like a catch 22, because you need money, like even if it's a small portion, so that you can prove that AI works and that there is an impact on your productivity and whatnot. But leadership wants proof before they give you money, so it's a bit of a
That's
conundrum
really
there.
hard. That is really hard in
Mm,
this space too, and the caveat to that is that a lot of the times that final I call it the last mile problem, which is,
mhm,
trying to get that ROI out is you really need to have it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is always good. What's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? 42. How did I get to
42.
that number? Right? To get to return on investment for investing in a platform or AI or whatever tooling, you actually
Mhm,
have to have metrics and things in place to be able to do that. And the biggest one,
Yep.
actually, the biggest challenge is product usage data. How do you get down to an atomic level of what company, what person, what do they do? It's not to be a big brother, watching everything that you do, but it's more about making absolutely sure that we're providing you help in those places where you get stuck and to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
beyond to actually get to the outcome. If you hit a wall, we don't want that. So it's surprising to me. Again, audience, go look at the report, look at these numbers. This is good experience or information to go take to your leadership and say, hey, look at this. Listen to what
Mhm.
Roberto said. This is true. It's really
Yep.
important for us to invest in. If anything, the other thing I say is for people to even have enough of a budget to play. I mean, I have licenses for Gemini, I have licenses for ChatGPT. I'm always toying around with things, but then the warning behind that is if you're doing that on your own, there's a real risk to exposing your company's data and things that
Exactly.
shouldn't go out. And that's why we want to invest in an appropriate package or platform, Learnworlds, that has that tools built in so that you're not exposing things that should not be out.
Yep.
AI is going
Yep.
to take that unless you tell it
Pretty
not
pretty
to.
good pitch.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
was in
Yeah.
enterprise security for a long time, so I do wanna put
Mm.
the fear, the real fear of, corporate God into people to say, using AI appropriately also means that you have to use it, with guardrails around it and be careful.
Mhm.
So you should always
Yep.
talk to your CISO or somebody, in leadership. Um, okay, let's start walking out the door. Again, go back, everybody, read this report. Are there any other really big takeaways from that report that you would want to bring to the market and say, go look at this first? This is the most important.
Yeah, I like maybe just how much the role of an educator has changed under the influence of AI. Like the roles have become very technical, and I was expecting to learn a lot, like expecting to learn that people are pushing back on this, but they're
Good.
actually most of them are actually enjoying expanding their skill sets. So that's interesting. Like
That's interesting. Yeah.
learning, yeah, learning coding or like I don't know, just learning more about the technical stuff because as we discussed today, it's very important.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get out there and play. That's why I wanted to do a big MOOC to start learning about different things because I've been rusty. When you focus so much on
Mhm.
strategy and technology for a while, you forget about what's growing beyond.
Mm.
Um, let's see. We also, we were talking about the transition, the educator role. I think one of the things that I see in here too is retaining humanity, right?
Mhm.
The human
Yep.
first lens, where if we start getting to the point where we're thinking, oh, well, AI is just going to do this anyway, fine, it will. It is going to. But we
Mhm.
should be driving the ship, right? Or curating or be a gardener, right? We're helping things grow and we're
Mhm.
hoping to use AI as a lever for scale. And that means you
Exactly.
need to have make sensible decisions when you're purchasing things or you're implementing things, have empathy, judgment, all that kind of stuff. I think is probably the through line to what your platform and what you are talking about is kind of human first approach, imbuing
Mhm.
smart, intelligent AI, putting guardrails around it, helping people get a lot more atomic or building good pieces, building good storyboards, all that kind of stuff. We need a platform to help us do all of that.
Mm. Well said. Yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
I'm gonna ask you, let's do one more big question, and then we'll walk out the door. So, if there is one mindset shift you'd want customer education leaders to walk away with today, like those feeling overwhelmed by the AI hype train, what would it be?
Mhm. Um, well, I would say realizing that you don't have to keep up with everything. So you don't need to um, get distracted with every single shiny object that appears in the field. I think you need to decide what matters. You have to uh, you have to have clarity of what you want to achieve with AI. So yeah, I see a lot of people doing things kind of in reverse, and it's easy to get seduced by what AI can do and all the potential for increasing productivity and whatnot. But you really should start by mapping out where it would be beneficial to implement AI, where it can help you. And I think the teams that do well are the ones that trust their domain expertise, put simple structure around how AI is used, and then move intentionally instead of just reacting to trends. That's
Well
what I would
put.
like
Oh
to
my
see.
gosh. Mia, I love this. It's, forget about the hype train, focus on what
Mm,
matters. Get a strategy, get a plan, and keep in that direction, not get distracted. It's so easy to get distracted by all the things that are coming out, really good
yeah.
platforms and tools. Now, okay, so if people want to go deeper, I will put a link on here. I already mentioned it once before. Where else can folks go? Just go simply Google Learnworlds and find your report right there online.
Yeah.
What are there good ways that people can learn about your platform? And we definitely already have links up about Learnworlds, and we will help to send people the right way.
Yeah, definitely start with the report. I think it's really good, really comprehensive, really interesting, great insights inside. And yeah, go to the Learnworlds website, see what we're all about. I would also encourage you to try it because it's free for 30 days. It's
Great.
a very simple, it's a very simple way to see how everything that we talked about, how AI automation and structure can support customer education in practice, and you don't have to commit to anything. But
That's
yeah, I'm
great.
really excited about what's coming in the very near future. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Me too. I'm very thankful for this discussion. Mia, this has been great. I've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
I think I've learned and taken away a few things from it. Audience definitely will. Go check it out. Our role as practitioners and leaders is to really challenge platforms and find new ways to really engage our audiences and leverage AI intelligently, right?
Mhm.
Again, Mia, I really appreciate our conversation today, and I'm excited to see how things go and grow over the coming years. And it's been great to work with you.
Like,
Let's do this. If you want to learn more, right? We have a podcast website at customer.education. If you want to learn about Learnworlds, go check them out, learnworlds.com. We'll put up notes and links as well for this, so you can find everything and anything. This will be both an audio and a YouTube one, where I will be adding in some pictures and things that will accentuate the discussions that we've had here. So you'll have seen that as well. Again, it's a new year. We're in 2026. We've been producing podcasts for 7, pushing on 8 years.
wow.
And it's we're at a milestone. We're coming up on a 150 milestone. No, we've blown past that. We're coming up on 200. So we are here to bring on new guests, ideas, expand our reach. If you have things you want to talk about, show us, help us learn, just reach out to us. There's a link on the website, and you can fill in the form, and we'll reach back out to you. We're also a part of the extended customer education community, where you can always connect with, learn from, and share your ideas with peers. I'm out there on LinkedIn every day. Special thanks to Ellen Coda for our theme music. And finally, if this helps you out, please help us out by subscribing to our show and any of the podcatchers of choice on Apple Podcast. A 5-star review will be great. It helps expand our reach. And to our audience, thank you for joining us. Get out there, educate, experiment, and find your people. Thanks, Mia. Thanks, audience.
Thank you, Dave.